Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's lesson. My name is Miss B, and I am so excited to jump into this lesson with you guys and be able to talk about our topic today. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys so that you can follow along with what's going on and we can have an awesome time together. All right, I am going to share this screen. Let's see. Awesome. Okay, so today we are talking about comparing important points. A lot of times when we are doing readings, we will find in one reading that there will be more than one important point. Or maybe if you're doing two readings that are similar, we can compare those important points. There are usually differences in those points, so we're going to talk about the differences and the similarities. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and move on to our standard and objective. Our objective is by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the main points of a story and identify the differences and similarities between them. So all this means is you are able to identify what a story is about, what the author is trying to tell you, and kind of tell us what the differences and similarities are between those points. So whether it's one story and there are more than one important point, or whether you're talking about two stories that have similar important points and we're comparing those both kind of fall under our objective today. But today we are specifically going to be talking about we're going to be talking about two separate readings that are alike in their topic, but we are going to be talking about the important points from them and comparing them. And our standard is to compare and contrast the most important points presented by two texts on the same topic. So like I said, we will be talking about two texts today and we will get that done. We will review this again at the end just to make sure that we have covered everything we should. All right, so today, your materials all you need is a piece of paper, whether that is lined paper or blank paper, whatever you can find is awesome. And then just a writing utensil. For a writing utensil, you can have anything from a marker or a pencil or pen, whatever, whatever you can get is great. So go ahead and pause this video and grab what you need to. All right. So hopefully you have gotten your materials and this will we will be ready to go. All right. So we are going to start by reading the two texts. So the two texts are about remembering and honoring the past. Remembering and honoring the past. So our very first text is called Memory Quilts. And for this, it's going to be telling us about these quilts that people built to keep memories. So let's go ahead and read it. All right. Most blankets just keep people warm when they go to sleep. A memory quilt is a blanket that does a lot more than keep people warm. Any quilt is made with pieces of fabric. The person who creates a memory quilt uses those pieces of fabric to honor a person, a family, a team, or even a country. People make memory quilts by bringing together lots of small fabric squares. For example, a mother creating this kind of quilt might use pieces of her son's old baby outfit to remind her of the early days of his life. She could also include drawings or photographs of her son that may have been printed on fabric. When fabric squares are ready, the quilter sews them together. This can be done by hand or with a sewing machine. The squares become one big piece of fabric. That is the quilt's top layer. Two other fabric layers are needed. The middle layer is the blanket filling. The backing is the bottom layer. After the layers are sewn together, the quilt is finished. Memory quilts are a beautiful way to remember something or someone special. All right, so that was our first text, and that was all about these memory quilts. And as you guys can see, here's a picture of those quilts. You can see what they look like. So that was about our memory quilts. Now let's look at pictures of the year. So this is our second reading. Again, this keeps on with the theme of remembering and honoring the past, but now we are talking about pictures of the year. People today take lots of photos. Many people use cell phones to photograph their daily lives with friends and family. Some photographs are really memorable. They capture important events such as birthday parties or weddings, or they show beautiful places. Years later, people may look at these special photos to remember the past. Long ago, however, cameras had not been invented yet. How did people back then record important moments? Some people told stories about old times. Others wrote down what they remembered. Some people made drawings to help them recall important moments. Those people were Native Americans of the Lakota tribe. Every year, the Lakota leaders decided which event was most important. A Lakota artist was then asked to draw a special picture of that event. Because each year's picture was decided on during the winter, the drawings became known as winter counts. For a long time, winter counts were drawn on animal skins. Later, the drawings were done on paper. The pictures told the story of the tribe. Each year, the newest winter count was added to the Lakota collection of pictures from earlier times. That helped people keep track of the years. Today, winter counts are important records of the Lakota's past. All right, so you can see maybe this was an example of one year they had the picture. This is probably one of those pictures from that tribe. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you guys for just a second so I can talk to you a little bit about both of those passages. So let's go back to that first passage. The theme of this whole of both of these passages is about keeping memory alive, right? It's about people kind of documenting what is happening in their lives and also just keeping memories alive so that we remember them and we cherish them. And that first reading was all about memory quilts. So I do want you guys to think, do you guys know what a quilt is? Do you maybe have quilts at your house? Have you ever heard of someone making a quilt? Have you ever made a quilt? There are so many questions that you can ask yourself, and you can make a personal connection to this story. So go ahead and just take a second and think, have I ever worked with a quilt before? Okay, so hopefully you guys are asking yourself some of those good questions. Maybe you're sharing those answers with a neighbor. But I personally actually have never made a quilt, but I do have a quilt. And unfortunately, I don't have it with me or else I would show you guys. But I do have a quilt. And that quilt was made up of really awesome pictures from my childhood and also just little memories along the way, like a drawing of my first elementary school and things like that. So really, really fun. They are awesome. Now for that second passage, we talked about the picture of the year, right? They only drew a picture once a year in the winter. So they kind of documented each year by just one photo. Could you guys imagine? We take so many photos now with our phones and cameras and everything else that we have. Can you guys imagine only taking one photo a year? That would be crazy. I can't even imagine what I would choose if I had to just pick one. So hard to choose. So again, the theme overall is keeping that memory alive. Now, before we dive too far into really comparing these passages, I do want to create something called a Venn diagram with you guys. So go ahead and take out your piece of paper or whatever you have, your writing utensils, and let's go ahead and create this Venn diagram. All right, so I am just grabbing, right now I'm using a whiteboard so you guys can see really well. I feel like if I had a piece of paper, it would be a little bit smaller. So I am going to start and draw my Venn diagram. Maybe you guys have seen one of these before, maybe not. Either way, no big deal. We are going to just do our best. That is all I ever ask of you guys, just to do our best. Nothing is going to look perfect. So right here, you guys will see all I did was draw two circles that overlap each other. And again, this is not perfect. This does not look perfect, and you guys do not need to worry about that. Just your best is awesome. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to actually write the name of these passages on top of each circle. So I can show you guys, but for example, the very first passage we looked at is called Memory Quilts. So I'm going to write it above this first Memory Quilts. Memory Quilts. And then the second one is called Pictures of the Year. Pictures of the Year. Awesome. So here is what that looks like for you guys. Pictures of the Year. Awesome. So in using this Venn diagram, we are going to put the similarities of the two will go in the middle. So we'll look at both texts and we'll think, what was similar about them? Maybe they had some details that were the same or similar. We can write those in the middle. But if there were some details that were just unique to one topic, like for example, with the memory quilts, for the picture of the year, they were not creating a blanket or something. They were not creating something that could be used like a piece of furniture. So we could write quilt or blanket was made because they didn't do that there. So we will do that. And again, maybe you guys have used Venn diagrams before, or maybe you haven't, but they're such a great way to really write down in detail what you know and just kind of document that. So we are going to go ahead and get started with that. So let's think about our very first story or little reading, which was about memory quilts. So what can I write under memory quilts that was unique to the memory quilts? Let's see. All right. So I think for the memory quilt, I'm going to write that it was a blanket. A blanket, because was the picture of the year made into a blanket? No, not that we know of. It was not a blanket. So I'm going to write blanket right there. All right. And next I am going to write, I'm going to write, we can write uses fabric, because the picture of the year, as far as we know, did not use fabric. So now that I know these two, I'm going to move over to pictures of the year and just try and come up with a couple so that I have a little bit under each. And then we can try together to look for some. So I'm going to say on this one, it was done on, or I'm sorry, it was a drawing, right? It was a special drawing. And I'm also going to write native to the Lakota tribe, right? Because even if the Lakota tribe, maybe they did make quilts, but these pictures of the year originated with the Lakota tribe. So I said native to the Lakota tribe. Now I'm going to think of one thing that is similar to both of these subjects. And I think I'm going to say keep memory alive. Keep memory alive. And the reason why I put that is because both of these important points about keeping the memory alive, both of these, both the picture and the quilt, they were both made to help memories to live on even after people are gone, and so people can remember what life was like. So we have 2 for the memory quilt, 1 for the similarities, 2 for the pictures. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And I would love it if you guys would look on with me and see if you can, here, I'm going to move this up. There we go. And see if you guys can find some similarities or things that you can draw in these circles here. So on the left side, let's see, I have blanket, uses fabric. We are looking at the memory quilts. I am going to go ahead and say, what would you guys say next? Please shout it out if you can see on here something that you think would be important to write. All right. Hopefully you guys said something, but even if you didn't, no big deal. We are working on it together. I am going to say that you have to sew. You have to sew because you cannot create a quilt without sewing it together, right? So with the quilts, you have to sew. You have to have that thread and needle and sew these layers together. Another thing we could say is it is 3 layers, right? That top layer there, that's where we're going to find the memories. The second layer, that is the blanket filling, and then there is backing to kind of bring it all together. So here's what my Venn diagram looks like right here. Awesome, awesome. Hopefully you guys can put in other things if you have them as well. Whatever you guys want to write is perfectly fine by me. So let's go ahead and look at pictures of the year and just try to write 2 more things together that we are noticing that is different about picture of the year. So let's see, we already wrote that it's a drawing and that it's native to the Lakota tribe. We could say, let's see, we could say occurred in the winter, which, you know, maybe memory quilts are made in the winter, but really they could be made all year round. So I said occurred in the winter, like it happened in the winter. And we could also write that they use animal skins, because it says on our reading here that they used animal skins to draw. So used animal skins. All right, so with that being said, now we have 4 things on each side. So I'm thinking for the similarity, we could write that they can honor a person or thing. They can honor a person or a thing, because even with the picture of the year, they could draw someone on there, or they could draw an important event or a thing that was going on in their tribe at the time. And of course quilts, I mean, you can honor anyone. Like I said, even I have a quilt that's made by my grandma, and I know lots of people like to make quilts to honor teachers or friends and things like that. So I think that both of these can be used to honor important people or things. So now that we have those down, I would love it if you guys would go ahead, and I'm actually going to share my screen with you again. If you could go ahead and just look through these writings and see if there's anything that you feel like you could add. So I am going, if you guys want to pause this video as I scroll so that you can read the whole thing again, go for it. And then we will come back together. pictures of the year. So now we are going to memory quilts. I think I can fit this whole thing. There we go, right there. Okay, hopefully you guys have been able to see and read through these passages again. I'm not sure what else you added to your Venn diagram, but I am sure you guys had great stuff to add on here. Of course, there are so many different things you could write on, and using this Venn diagram really helps when you are trying to think about differences and similarities in so many ways. It will just help you, and honestly, you'll have a deeper understanding of both of the texts after you kind of go through and see the important points in the text. So that is what I had. I will show you guys one more time. Perfect. And I hope you guys enjoyed the readings. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the readings, and we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. So we already read, we created our Venn diagram, I had you guys take a turn, and now it is time for wrap up. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify main points of a story and identify the differences and similarities between them. So again, we did that with 2 different stories, and we just did a little bit of a compare and contrast with a Venn diagram. So do you guys feel like you reached this objective today? Give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or maybe just a fist in between if you're not sure. All right, hopefully you guys are all giving me a thumbs up right now, but even if you're not, you guys can always ask for help from adults, and you can keep on learning and progressing with resources and other fun lessons. So you can always watch this one again too and work on it again and see if there are any other similarities or differences that you missed. All right, that is all I have for you. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Again, I hope that you feel like you have learned a lot and that you have a new skill to help you just really understand and have a deep comprehension of comparing and contrasting different important points. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. And don't forget to keep learning and doing it with a great attitude. Bye-bye.